Hey America! You are locked into another explosive episode of Ranting Politics Headline Updates. I'm JOC, and we've got a packed show that'll knock your socks off. Breaking today, Mark Zuckerberg is pulling the plug on Meta's fact-checking program in a massive free speech overhaul. We'll dive into what this means for your Facebook and Instagram feeds. Then, a major development on Capitol Hill as the House passes the controversial Layken Riley Act, with surprising bipartisan support. The immigration detention bill is headed to the Senate, and we've got all the details. Plus, President-elect Trump is dreaming big. Really big. We're talking Greenland acquisition and Panama Canal control. The Danish PM has some choice words about that. And finally, the Biden administration's last-minute push to effectively ban cigarettes. Critics say it's a gift-wrapped present for cartels. Stay with us. We're breaking down all these stories and more, right here on Ranting Politics Headline Updates. In a stunning reversal of course, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced today the company is scrapping its fact-checking program and lifting speech restrictions across Facebook and Instagram. The tech giant admits they went too far with content moderation and wants to get back to their roots of free expression. Meta's Chief Global Affairs Officer Joel Kaplan told Fox News that their third-party fact-checking system, implemented after the 2016 election, showed too much political bias in what they chose to review. Instead, they're rolling out a community notes feature similar to X, where users themselves can provide context to posts. This is a massive shift for the social media giant. Rather than relying on what Kaplan called so-called experts, the new approach puts the power back in users' hands. If a note gets broad support across the platform's community, it can be attached to content for others to see. Meta is also loosening its content moderation rules, particularly around sensitive topics like immigration and gender issues. While they'll still police things like terrorism and illegal drugs, the company is pulling back on automated systems that Kaplan says were making too many mistakes and removing legitimate content. The timing isn't random either. With the Trump administration set to take office, Meta sees an opportunity to work with a White House that champions free expression rather than pressuring companies to censor. This comes after Zuckerberg previously admitted to bowing to Biden administration pressure on certain content, especially around COVID. Looking ahead, Meta plans to take a more personalized approach to political content, allowing users who want to see more of those posts to do so. The company says it's refocusing enforcement solely on illegal and high-severity violations, marking a dramatic retreat from the heavy-handed moderation of recent years. In a significant bipartisan move, the House has passed the Layken Riley Act with support from both sides of the aisle, including 48 Democrats who broke ranks with party leadership. The legislation, named after a 22-year-old nursing student tragically murdered while on a run, aims to tighten immigration detention policies. The act requires mandatory detention for immigrants charged, arrested, or convicted of burglary, theft, or shoplifting offenses. What's particularly noteworthy is that even after a criminal case concludes, individuals would remain in custody while their immigration proceedings continue. Representative Mike Collins, who sponsored the bill and represents Riley's hometown in Georgia, made a powerful statement on the House floor. He explained that Riley's alleged killer was in the country illegally and had previously been arrested for shoplifting before being released. Collins argued that this legislation could have prevented her death, pointing to systemic failures that led to this tragedy. However, Democratic leadership opposed the measure, raising concerns about its broad application to protected groups like DACA recipients and the fact that mere arrests, not convictions, could trigger detention. Representative Pramila Jayapal criticized the bill as a political maneuver that fails to address fundamental immigration system issues. The legislation now faces its next hurdle in the Senate, where it needs 60 votes for approval. All 53 Republicans have pledged their support, and several Democrats have indicated they'll cross party lines, though final numbers remain uncertain. The bill's fate could mark a significant shift in how law enforcement handles immigration cases involving minor crimes. Fox News and various sources contributed to this report. In a dramatic shift from traditional American foreign policy, President-elect Trump has doubled down on his territorial expansion ambitions, refusing to rule out military action to acquire Greenland and retake control of the Panama Canal. During a wide-ranging news conference at Mar-a-Lago, Trump made waves by declaring he wouldn't exclude using military or economic force to achieve these territorial goals. The president-elect's vision for American expansion doesn't stop there. He's floated the idea of turning Canada into the 51st state, suggesting that removing what he called that artificially drawn line would enhance national security. These bold proposals would mark the first major changes to America's map since Hawaii joined the Union in 1959. The Danish response was swift and unequivocal. Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen emphasized that Greenland is absolutely not for sale, even as Donald Trump Jr. made a surprise visit to the territory's capital, Nuuk. Trump claimed he's hearing that the people of Greenland are MAGA, and shared videos of supposed local support for American acquisition. Regarding the Panama Canal, Trump criticized the 1977 agreement that transferred control to Panama, calling it a disgrace, and claiming the canal was built for our military. He specifically took aim at former President Jimmy Carter's role in the transfer, despite planning to attend Carter's funeral this week. In perhaps his most eyebrow-raising proposal, Trump announced plans to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, describing it as having a beautiful ring. Within moments of this announcement, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene pledged to introduce legislation supporting the name change, demonstrating the rapid alignment of Republican leadership behind Trump's expansionist vision. These territorial ambitions have raised concerns among international allies, particularly as Western nations continue to oppose Russian expansion efforts in Eastern Europe. Credit to CNN and Fox News for contributing to this report. In a move sending shockwaves through the tobacco industry, the FDA is pushing forward with a last-minute Biden administration proposal that would effectively ban currently available cigarettes in favor of lower nicotine alternatives. The Tobacco Product Standard for Nicotine Level Regulation has cleared regulatory review as of January 3rd, though it hasn't been finalized yet. FDA Commissioner Robert Califf claims this measure aims to decrease addiction potential and prevent future generations from becoming smokers. However, law enforcement experts are sounding serious alarm bells about unintended consequences. Rich Marianos, former assistant director of the ATF, warns this could be a gift with a bow and balloons to organized crime cartels. The proposal is facing criticism for apparently being rushed through without proper consultation with law enforcement, medical professionals, or industry regulators. Experts predict this could create a massive black market for traditional cigarettes, with Mexican cartels, Chinese criminal organizations, and Russian crime groups perfectly positioned to fill the void. There's also growing concern that rather than reducing smoking, the regulation could actually increase consumption. Smokers may simply smoke more lower nicotine cigarettes to achieve their desired effect, potentially leading to greater health risks. Several lawmakers from both parties have already highlighted how tobacco trafficking poses a serious national security threat. The timing is particularly notable as this follows the Biden administration's recent backtrack on a proposed menthol cigarette ban, which was shelved after significant public pushback. That earlier proposal faced criticism for potentially targeting minority communities and creating opportunities for illicit sales, concerns that are now being echoed with this broader nicotine regulation. Sources for this report include Fox News and statements from the FDA. And that wraps up another packed episode of Ranting Politics Headline Updates. From Meta's dramatic shift away from fact-checking to the bipartisan passage of the Layken Riley Act, Trump's ambitious territorial expansion plans, and the FDA's controversial tobacco regulations, it's been a day of significant policy shifts and heated debates. Stay up to date with all our latest coverage by following us on X at RantingRP. For deeper dives into these stories and exclusive content, head over to rantingpolitics.com. And don't forget, you can also now find us on YouTube and Amazon's Audible app. This is JOC signing off, and thank you, our loyal listeners, for choosing Ranting Politics Headline Updates. We'll be back soon with the updates you need to navigate these interesting times. Until then, stay tuned, stay informed, and as always, stay free.